This is my favorite attacking formation in FIFA 22. What's happening, beautiful people? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new around these parts, or if you haven't checked down below, hit the bell, drop a subscription. Today, we're looking at one of my favorite formations in general, 4-1-2-1-2-2, the second variation. I've also got two questions. First off, Weekend League. Do you like this new format? Put that in the comments. And secondly, what's your record? How are you performing? Has it been upper tier? I should add a part 3 to this and ask more about your formation choice. What did you learn throughout the Weekend League? Because this is the first tester to a certain degree. I know we've been playing rivals, but once it gets into that ultra sweat, you learn a lot about yourself and you also learn a lot about the game. Let's get into the formation. I'm gonna give you the ins, the outs, the pros, the cons. But if you need those tactics, those details, those instructions, please check down below. After this video, my man Ovi, good friend of mine, you're probably familiar. He's got that situated for you. That video has been completed for you. Without further ado, bars. Goalkeeper, gonna be a bit of a surprise, and I jumped around. Some of the gameplay is gonna be between two different squads that I used. We've got Pau Lopez, not the best. Also, if you're going League One, the goalkeepers get a lot more debatable. Frankly, this year, all the goalkeepers have kind of been juiced to a certain degree. I haven't felt that I needed a big investment one way or the other. I'll still put the higher rated guys into motion, but a lot of 80s been looking the same, similar. Center backs, Sergio Ramos, who's kind of been a staple and a lot of the teams that I've been putting together. We're going to slide him to the right. On the left, we're add to that partnership, Denayer, who I also rate. If you're looking more overpowered, you're on a budget, this could work for you. New asset. Fullbacks, I'm surprised, but Nuno Mendes, I've enjoyed using this man. It has came together nicely. Statistically, he's really not the greatest, but if you're going League One, a little more limited for fullback options, but he might surprise you. On the other side, we're going with a classic selection. Semedo, you're very familiar. Even though he slowed down in pace, he's still got a certain level of confidence. Midfield, 3 of them to be exact. Well, technically there's a 4th when you're looking at that center attacking mid. Yay, that's right, PSG. We need to go ahead and green it together. More of a classic holding midfielder. You don't see him in a ton of rotations, mainly because of nationality. And he's a little more limited if you're going forward. You don't have the skills, you don't have the weak foot. Nothing that situates or separates Gay to be this ultra attacking or balanced center mid. He is more of your holding, your traditionalist, positioning on point. With that being said, one of my favorite players this year, thus far, Wijnaldum. I could talk about his stats, I could talk about his output, skills, goal scoring capabilities, offensive awareness, positioning, defensive chase back. I like everything. Hands down the best Wijnaldum we have seen in any FIFA installment. He's almost at, and this might be unpopular, maybe he's already at the level of a Seedorf. If you're looking for an icon comparison, of course, also Dutch. Big statement, but that's how we do things here. We go bold. The other center mid, heading to the Premier League. We've gone with an overpowered rendition, also a short name. Fred, a player you should be familiar with. When you see those dribbling numbers, his side to side, he's always been referred to as the cheap Conte or the Brazilian Conte, the affordable Conte, especially this year because Conte is expensive. Long shot taker trait, that's not really going to matter that much. The high to 4-4. It's all about his lateral, his side to side, the quick turning. It's definitely an asset in the midfield. And when you're playing in a 4-1-2-1-2, it's nice to have a decent mix between balanced players, holding midfielders, guys that give you enough versatility, especially depending what tactics you're going with. We can plug that to Ovi's video. The front 3, trifecta. Roberto Firmino, big fan, supporter. We've been scoring a lot of crucial goals with Firmino, so I only have positives to attach to his name. He's not able to play as a striker. That will be my one disclaimer. You need him as either a center mid, a center attacking mid. Depending how aggressive you'd like to play, you could run him as a holding mid as well. But just know you're getting a trade-off. Up front, Gabby, Jesus. The footwork pays the bills. Worth that investment. Also, not very expensive for a striker, Brazilian, Manchester City, Premier League. I think he ran me 4,000 or 5,000 coins. Next door, the final piece of the puzzle. You like Legos? Me too. Anderson Talisca. This was an SBC you had to complete. 6'3", high-low work rates, left-footed, finesse shot of dreams. And the best part of Anderson Talisca was that you knew you were getting the upgrade via the ones to watch prior to completing the SBC. So you had free information that allowed you to get an improved experience or player package without an additional coin tally or a larger investment via the fodder. Pretty spectacular. And I've already been playing with this man as a starter, as a substitute, both roles, top tier. Might have made a mistake when I put out that initial team of the week. Put some more respect on Anderson Talisca's name when we're looking at them tiers. Them silky tiers. You see the team. Let's continue. Welcome to the pros. The positives. 4-1-2-1-2. Second variation. It's going to be compact. That means it's conducive for that tiki-taka. I almost ran two of these together. If you don't know about the tiki-taka, you never watched Barcelona. You're going to have quick passing, pass and move. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Intricate, detailed, quick hitting, ping pong action. This is that formation. And depending what you do with some of the spacing, you can really have this offensive package that's sort of unique. Which leads me to creative expression. Whether you're using a lot of skills, pullback dribbles, L1 dribbling, however you like to build up, whatever conversation starter you'd like to use, this formation has it. And it can be very overwhelming, whether that's from a pressure standpoint, whether it's from an offensive, just bodies on bodies on bodies. Also from a personnel choice, if you used more attacking midfielders, even in your midfield, you went for that all-out offense. You didn't care as much about having that chase back or having some of that presence on the defensive end. You can have so many players in the box. And against the bus drivers, the parkers of the bus, the guys that are outside trying to parallel park, fantastic way to counteract. If it wasn't clear, that means you're going to have free flow, fluidity, movement. This is the dream formation for the Brazilian collective. We haven't really talked defense just yet, but you're going to clog that middle. You're going to lock up what's happening on the defensive end. Your opponent will struggle drastically or dramatically to try to break you down centrally. He's gonna have to do something out wide. And something this formation has always been known for is the direct play to go with the through balls, especially considering that you have those triangles up front where you can swing it into the center attacking mid or one of the strikers knocks it down, and now you have that option for a through ball. Over the top, on the ground, a double tap pass. And you can do this relatively quickly, which makes this formation so dangerous. That's why I talk about and really bring this into discussion as one of my favorite formations and perhaps my favorite attacking formation if you're really going for it, because it gives you so many options to overwhelm and to put your opponent under certain elements of pressure that they might not be that accustomed to. Now, for the cons, the negatives. Defensive wing pressure. I know I keep using that word pressure. However, on the defensive side, because everything is so narrow, it can be difficult if you go up against an opposition who's playing with multiple wide players or a patient wide formation. Let's say a 4-4-2. You might have no issues offensively, but when you're looking to disrupt, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to be patient, because if you're going up against an opponent that understands what's happening, he's gonna have more possession than you. He's gonna be able to swing this side to side, take his time. You will need to pick your moments because you just don't have players in those areas of the virtual pitch naturally. Nor should they necessarily be there in this formation. So you've got to wait for your moment to pounce. You got to set it up. A little bit of that bait and switch, or to switch with the bait. Early outlets, and mainly when we're talking about transitions here, if you get a good defensive takeaway or a step, you don't have that additional width. Therefore, it's not always the easiest to find that first pass, especially if your opponent is doing a good job taking away a direct line to one of the strikers or the center attacking mid. You will have to potentially run out wide a little bit with those fullbacks. You might have to have them on more of an overlap or to really stay wide just to give you additional spacing. And this is mainly when you have those transition opportunities where you didn't win the ball in the middle of the pitch or in your opponent's defensive half, where you've got to kind of build up and build out from the back. I've seen a lot of mistakes. And lastly, we should talk about how you're going to have limited crossing, because in this year's installment in particular, we're seeing more crossing goals. They're seeing the lobs, the knockdowns. This is not a formation that is going to specialize or have an expertise in wing play. But you knew that when you made this selection. You should not have that type of expectation playing such a narrow formation, but it should be brought up as, of course, a con or a negative. It's a trade-off. You want more bodies centrally that are going to give you opportunities to play a little bit differently in exchange for not having the balance with some of that width. Are we aligned? I think that we are, and that wraps up the video. Let me know how you guys feeling with this initial weekend league, and talk to me with formations or tactics. I always find it interesting because I like to poll the community, and it gives me a better grasp and understanding of what's working for the masses versus just the minority of the FIFA community. But I appreciate all of you, and I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.